Well, good afternoon. Nice to be here again. Just been out for a walk. Very chilly, distinctly chilly, very cold, sharp air, which I don't care for at all, but it's still nice to get out. At least it's not raining. Cheers. If you haven't seen, excuse me, something on the screen there, right? Something on my screen. If you haven't seen Fraser's latest video, go and have a look, because a very interesting question posed. Would you exclude any periods in history, wargaming wise, would you exclude any periods? Would you not game any periods if you had a relative killed in that particular period? Or an ancestor? I personally wouldn't exclude a period if I had an ancestor killed in that particular period. And the other thing was, would you exclude any weapons on sort of moral grounds? The example was given was a flamethrower. A particular person said he wouldn't use a flamethrower when wargaming on sort of moral grounds, which is personal choice. Me personally, if it's used in reality, it's fair game for the gaming table. I don't have a problem. It's all personal choice, isn't it? I mean, my grandfather was in the Kaiser's War. Excuse me a second. Excuse me, I had to fish this off the top of a clock. My grandfather was in the Kaiser's War. There he is, that's my grandfather Albert, and that's my granny Kathleen, and that's actually one of my uncles. But grandfather got through the Kaiser's War, he came out the other end. But even if he was killed in it, I would still quite happily game 14-18 war. I guess it's how you feel about it. As far as excluding weapons goes on moral grounds, no, not for me. If you're going to go down the road of starting to exclude weapons on moral grounds, I'm not gaming that weapon, or I'm not going to game that weapon, then should you be wargaming? Because it's all killing and destruction, isn't it? Really, that's my opinion anyway. It's all killing and destruction. If you're going to exclude flamethrowers, I mean, how many? If you say I'm going to exclude flamethrowers, and yet you'll say, well, I'll game with tanks and stuff. Well, how many guys got burned to death in tanks? How many crews got burned to death in tanks? I mean, they used to call British tanks Tommy Cookers. So many crews got burned to death in them. Now that's equally as bad as a flamethrower, so, but just my opinion. Just my opinion. But it's an interesting question anyway, an interesting topic. Go and have a look. I mean, at the end of the day, I suppose you could ask, why would anybody want to make a game out of killing and destruction? But we do. But as I said in my comment, wargaming is a hobby with many levels. It's collecting, it's model making, it's painting, it's gaming. It's the community and meeting other people, all the friends you make, which is wonderful. It's making the videos. And it's also taking history and saying, well, this is what happened in reality. Let's see what happens if we did so and so. Would the same outcome have arisen? So, but yeah, it's an interesting subject. But I'm not here to preach you a sermon anyway. I'm not here to preach you a sermon. I didn't come here for that. Just my opinion. So go and have a look at that video. Talk about preaching sermons. There's a priest in a confessional box, and the door went, and he waited, nothing. So he waited, nothing. So he waited another minute, still nothing. So he knocked, and a voice said, "You can knock as much as you want. And another thing, there's no paper in here either." Talking of paper, a couple of things came in the post. Firstly, something from my tool chest. It's going to be useful when I start making kits. The razor saw. It's actually got a spare blade with it as well. So that's going to be handy for cutting little bits and pieces. So I was pleased with that. But talking of paper, I had to send to Greece for this, all the way to Greece for this. Look at this. This is 1/35 scale. Stone paper. Oh. Yes, that's stone more than brick. But it's, as you can see on the back, if you look on the back, it's like embossed. So you can feel all the bits in it. That's 1/35 scale. I thought that was wonderful. It's going to be ideal if I make some ruined buildings or something. So that was nice. I got a whole pack of that. As you can see, I think it's about 15 sheets there, A4 size. But I had to send to Greece to get it. It took a couple of weeks to get here. But very interesting, very good. Been working on our odds and sods and our civilians that Uncle Frank sent us from the Netherlands. I gotta say, I noticed earlier I primed the command figure for French infantry, and I noticed, oh, you can see that, probably can't see that. You can just about see that injector pin mark in his back. So that's going to have to be dealt with. I was annoyed when I saw that. So that needs to be dealt with. But our civilians are coming along. And I've painted, or so semi-painted the pig. there's our pig. I've named this pig Boris because he's a giant boar. So that's the colour I've used there is beige red for the base colour. But very fine pig. And also our cow is coming on. So that's going to have reddish brown blotches over it. It's going to be two-tone sort of cow. Apparently Frank tells me these figures are by IMEX. I must look into IMEX figures and see what they do, because the detail on these is absolutely fantastic. Wonderful detail on these IMEX figures. So that's good. So we're all up and running on our civilians, on our odds and sods. After this, it's just Wellington and his chums, and we're done. But what I was going to talk to you about before I started preaching to you about exclusions and stuff, weapons and stuff, I was going to talk to you about casualty markers. It's something we'll all use at some point as gamers. I was looking online, because I'm getting close to finishing these Napoleonics now, and getting ready for a sort of a thrash, if you like. So I was thinking about casualty markers. The glasses get dirty quickly. 1 minute they're clean, and the next minute is like looking through a bloody fog. So I was thinking about casualty markers. So I was looking online at casualty markers. Voila. I was looking at casualty markers online. And they're like sort of over £1 each. And I thought that was a bit much for what they were. These were the ones I was looking at. Was you can get them in different sizes. The ones I was looking at was 40mm diameter ones. I was thinking that's to me that's a little bit exorbitant. Pound, 10 pence each, something like that. So it's going through my mind now about this. And I'm doing other things but still thinking about it. And I thought, yeah, I know. Take 2 of these. In the center of one, drill a 5mm hole. Now, the crux of the thing is with these, you must get that hole dead center. I've got a jig I've made for mine, so I can mark the thing and get the center exact. Then I drill a little pilot hole, and then drill my main hole, but drill a 5mm hole in the center. In the second one, you drill a hole in the center 5mm, and then you drill a hole to the side 5mm. That's going to be a window for your numbers. On your second one with your 2 holes, I'm going to put a little disc of paper so you can write on your numbers. Sorry, on your first one. I meant to say on your first one. You put your disc of paper and you write your numbers on it. And then on your first one, you take a little piece of 5mm dowel and cut it the length of the width of 2 poker chips, so it's only going to be about like that, just the thickness of 2 poker chips for the length of that, and glue it into your first chip, with your single hole, with your white piece of paper on it, and then just push your second chip on top. And that's basically it. Filler on top. I put a wheel in this one, but you could easily put a dead Frenchman or a dead Highlander or something. Grass it out, and I put a tuft on there. I think you can see the number in that. Yeah, you can see the number in that, 6. But I could easily change that. There you go, 2. One casualty marker. There you can see the dowel in the center. So that's all you do. And these are, I can buy these in charity stores for a couple of pounds for a job lot. They don't go for much. So a very cheap, inexpensive way of making a casualty marker. 2 poker chips and a little bit of dowel, and you've done on a little bit of paper just to put on your first disc, your bottom disc, write your numbers on it, dowel in the center, second one with your window, shove that on top and you're done. And just a bit of filler and whatever grassing and maybe a tuft or two on top. And that's a lot cheaper than £1, whatever they are, £1, £1.10, something like that. And they work equally as well. This one's, I got to say, this one's a little bit roughly done because I just rushed through it just to get something to show you. But there you go, one casualty marker. I'll make a job lot of these in my 5 minutes. Because if you think you want one for, say you wanted one for each battalion you've got, you could have a lot of battalions of troops at £1 each. That's going to mount up, isn't it? Mount up. That money you could be spending on miniatures. So get a cheap box of these. I mean, that took me no time at all to make, really. Drill 2 of them out, put a bit of dowel in the center and a piece of paper. That's basically it. Filler on top, paint it. There you go. That's how to make a cheap casualty marker. Get some poker chips. Well, that's me done. I don't know what I'm going to do now. What's the time? Yeah, 4:45. I'll call it a day now on the bench, I think. Go and watch another Just on Frontiers or something. Yeah, nice to see you. No, not see you, but nice to have so many people subscribing. Thanks for all your comments. If you subscribed recently, thank you very much. If you watch but you haven't, push the button down below. Join the party. Become a community member. It's all good stuff. We're a nice bunch. We're a nice bunch. So, yeah, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.